Shout out to everybody up at Liberty. I be through, man. Holla at your boy.
Hi, good evening and greetings from North Carolina. My name is Kanika Coleman. This is my interpersonal communication project. I'm a student at Liberty University. The class is HSCO 508 and my professor is Dr. LaRonda Starling. Our order of discussion this evening: I'm going to do an introduction. We'll discuss my overarching goals. We'll talk about enlarging the conversation, my background, my own behavioral blend, my own potential barriers, noise pollution, and my plan of action for achieving my overarching goals. What is interpersonal communication? Stewart defines interpersonal communication as the kind of communication that happens when people involved talk and listen in ways that maximize the presence of the personal. Communication has two key characteristics: inhaling, which is receiving the message from the speaker, and exhaling, disclosing and being open with the listener. My overarching goals: I want to become a more effective listener, to improve my communication skills, and to achieve the ability to listen at level 1. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. Most people listen with the intent to reply. Stephen R. Covey. What it means to enlarge the conversation. This means to engage in a conversation where both the speaker and the listener are open to each other, and to bring meaning to the conversation. This also means to have a conversation which everybody knows and is mindful of their responsibility in determining which way the conversation is going to flow. This also means you have to have cues and be able to read nonverbals as well. A little bit about myself. I have no siblings. I'm African American. I'm an HBCU graduate, which means I graduated from a historically black college or university. I have strong family values, and I feel like that's the education's key to success. I'm married. I have no children, but I do have a large extended family, and I'm of the Baptist faith. Behavioral blend. We had to take a test on Uniquely You to find out what our behavioral blend was. Before I tell you mine, let me give you some background about the behavioral blend. It's one's personality traits. It's basically what makes you you. Behavioral blend is composed of 4 temperament types. D is if you're active and you're task-oriented. I is active and you're people-oriented. C is passive and task-oriented. And S is passive and people-oriented. This is my behavioral blend of what's expected of me or how people see me. I was an IS blend, which means I'm people-oriented, I'm passive, and I'm active, which basically involves me being shy, submissive, sensitive, inspiring, influencing, and interested in people. What my actual behavioral blend is, or how I see myself, I was a little surprised. I got above the midline on all 4. The D, the I, the S, and the C, which means I'm an overachiever, which I would definitely agree. I'm highly motivated, yeah, most times. I'm persistent all the time. I'm definitely a people person, so I'm people-oriented. I'm ardor. It depends on what it is, but yeah, I can be. And I'm a good follower. At least I try to. Here's the positive and negative traits of my behavioral blend. We'll start with the positives. I'm supportive, a peacemaker, dependable, and have high standards. And now for the negative, or the things that I need to work on or improve. I overstep authority. I can definitely do that. I overuse facial expressions. I hear that an awful lot. I'm resistant to change. I figure if it's not broken, why try and fix it? And I'll give in rather than fight, sometimes. Potential barriers in listening. Burley Allen states, a listening barrier exists when someone hears what they want to hear and not what is really communicated. There are so many different types of barriers when it comes to listening. There are physical barriers, biased listening, and external barriers. Here are 3 of my own barriers. Biased listening. I have a tendency to label a speaker or think I've heard what they're going to say, pretty much because I've heard them before. I also have the weakness of stereotyping someone based on past experience. Fatigue. When I'm tired, I tune out quickly and there's no recovering. And interrupting. I want to ask questions immediately instead of waiting to see if they'll be addressed later. Noise pollution. It has been said that noise can disrupt cooperative interactions between individuals. Noise pollution is just that. It's an internal and external barrier that hinders effective communication. Here are some internal factors for noise pollution. Ignoring the speaker, which means you just aren't listening or interested in what they're saying. Stereotyping. Maybe you've heard this speaker before or you've heard someone like them before and you already know what they're going to say. Defensiveness. You're on the defense. You're combative and you're pretty much ready to defend whatever the speaker's going to say or go against them. And hot button words. Speakers use these to get an emotional rise out of you, and sometimes it works. Your external factors. Loud noises. We all know loud noises usually will distract us and catch our attention. Phone calls. This day and time, we always have our phones attached to us, so phone calls are going to distract us when we're trying to be an effective listener. Clock watching. You just want the speaker to be done, and you're watching the clock to find out when they're going to be done. And deadlines. We all have them. We know what they are, and they're going to distract us if we're thinking about something else we should be doing or rather be doing, rather than listening to the speaker. My action plan to become an effective listener, to listen at level 1 and be a better communicator. Peterson says, as an effective listener, you cannot own the problem of the talker. I have a tendency to do this. I want to help them, and I have a tendency to take on their own problems. To give advice only when asked. In my profession, I have to give advice a lot, so this carries over into my personal life, and I'm wanting to get advice. But Peterson states that if you're always giving advice for the speaker, you're not listening to what they're saying, and you can actually lower their self-esteem, and they're not able to figure out their own problems themselves. To always be present in the moment and not let internal and external noise pollution be a distraction. There's always going to be distractions, whether they're internal or external. I can't maybe do something about all the external ones, but the internal, I can definitely work on to be an effective listener and communicator. To listen from my heart and not be flat-brained. When you listen from your heart effectively, you're open to what others are going to say. You don't know the whole truth, but you're willing to listen and find out if there's something else out there. And when you become flat-brained, you think that the speaker's problem, they're the problem. It's not you, it's pretty much them. To avoid placing judgment on the speaker, this simply means not stereotyping. Maybe I've heard the speaker before, maybe I haven't. Maybe they remind me of someone, but I can't place that on the speaker. This is going to help me in my professional life. This will help me in my personal life, and this will most definitely help me with my relationship and my walk with Christ. I thank you for your undivided attention, and have a great evening.